The Walmart exclusive Bumblebee's got to be one of the most disappointing figures I've ever had. Not because it's bad or anything, but it's so close to being peak, but it just falls short in just a couple of areas. Now, the Volkswagen Beetle is my favorite car that you could give to a Transformer, and this does look amazing. I also really like the minimal paint applications, and especially the opaque windows. That's amazing! What do I mean by that? Well, I'll get to that in just a second. He does have some unfortunate panel mislinings in alt mode, and I think it's just the mold because on this one it's perfectly fine, but every single time I transform it, it's always off over here. A little obnoxious if you ask me. Here he is with the original, and I gotta be honest, I still think this one looks a lot better because it just fits this mold way nicer, but like, man, I mean, this is a nice car mode. This still looks pretty good. And if you're wondering, here he is next to the Studio Series 86 figure. I gotta be honest, I think this one works a lot better. They both have the same annoying color scheme, but this one wears it a lot better because it feels a lot more toyetic, despite the fact that it's not nearly as squashed as the Penny Racer, which is what the colors are based off of. Doesn't really have any weapon storage. Unless you're a psychopath. I didn't stutter. Robot mode is where I get into a couple more issues. Like on the surface, it looks great. The actual sculpt is fantastic. I just love how clean it is and the option to make it even cleaner. But the thing is, I always really liked the Earthrise B, but I really wanted to see that mold re-released at a much larger scale, but in the toy-accurate form. And it's so close to that, but it's just missing one tiny little issue. It's got the cartoon face. See, let me illustrate to you what I mean by this by transforming this guy. And I paid $40 for this thing. See, this just has so much charm, and it's such a cool head sculpt that we very rarely get to see this side of Bumblebee, and it's so close. Why didn't he just... I'm not angry because it's bad. I'm angry because it's so close to being the coolest thing ever, but it just isn't quite there. I will say that overall, I think the Earthrise B does look leagues better. It does have one issue that this one fixes. Overall, should you get this version of Bumblebee? Well, it's kind of interesting. If you didn't get the original Earthrise figure, I think this is a nice way to get this figure. It's an incredibly underrated and fantastic mold. And even though I know some people do prefer the Studio Series for pretty understandable reasons, it's just nice to have both options available because a lot of people complain, oh, I wish we used this one, but like, you can get this thing anywhere, and outside of the head sculpt, it's pretty toy accurate. It's more toy accurate than cartoon accurate, which is pretty embarrassing. Meanwhile, this guy didn't really get a widespread release.